Howdy folks, Jambriki here. Today, I'm going to be taking on a Patron requested review of Camp Camp's second season. For those of you who don't know, Camp Camp follows the adventures of Maxie's fellow campers at Camp Campbell, a summer camp that caters to each child's personal hobby. A concept that's so ambitious that it tends to fall apart each week, mainly because it's run by an eccentric criminal called Mr. Campbell, plus counseled by the misguided David and jaded Gwen. Each episode presents a different kind of kids camp every time, while also pitting the bitter and cynical Max against the try-hard and optimistic David. Season 2 pretty much carries on the same shenanigans and conflicts, but that's not to say that it's super strict about sticking to a firm formula. It's a season that faithfully carries on what effectively worked before, while also being open to trying new things or developing existing aspects. Like Season 1, the show continues to use Camp Campbell as a vivid metaphor for society itself, by using each themed camp as a chance to explore modern America as we dive into such topics as cults, social media, dating, the job industry, and parenting.
None of this matters! Nobody knows what they're doing when they're taking care of something too dumb to take care of itself.
Of course, there's only so much 10-minute cartoons can dissect and parody. Heck, you could argue that some of these complex themes are simplified for time, but Camp Camp still tackles each satirical target with a sharp razor. For example, as someone who studies cults in my free time, I was rather impressed at how Season 2's first episode, Camp Cult, effectively spoofed the meat of what makes cults so awful, all by creating an original cult that adopts aspects of Scientology, Heaven's Gate, and Jonestown, thus giving the episode a large palette to draw from for comedy, while also being able to fire shots at every kind of dangerous evil cult out there.
The Big Bang didn't create the universe, it was just a side effect of the Millennia Wars started by Z-Moog and the Galactic Confederacy.
Sure, Leader Daniel is rather on the nose and skips the usual subtle tactics, but he's still a cunning villain that knows all the loopholes as a fake counselor. I mean, creepily, Camp Campbell isn't his first victim.
As far as I'm aware, I've successfully met every requirement listed in my job description. So you don't actually have the legal right to terminate my employment.
That's the thing, this season opener really helps to set the stage for a more intense series too. A series that isn't afraid to push these kids into scarier situations. Whether that means introducing a volcanic prophecy, or forcing a rival camp into the sinister world of drug crime. Look, I'm not saying that the last season was full of rainbows and gun drops, because it really wasn't. It's just that Season 2 knows how to raise the stakes a bit more. This darker direction also rubs off on David. Sure, he's a character that remains naive and idealistic as always, but Season 2's David has more flaws. I get the feeling that Season 1's dramatic finale opened the door for the showrunners to give the happy-go-lucky counselor a bit more depth. He not only mocks a camper for their naivety—
Pine? That's clearly Birch! Birch, you big dummy!
but he also shows a green-eyed jealousy sometimes too, the latter of which even pushes him to lash out, which is kinda shocking for his character.
Oh my god!
David? What happened to friendship and understanding?
What am I saying though? The whole of Season 2 kind of goes ham on character development. Well, it doesn't go that crazy, but unexpected characters do get to shine this time round. This includes Camp Campbell staff members that have been supporting cast up until now, from giving us an insight into Gwen's life outside the camp.
Those are last month's. These are all the job rejection letters I've ever gotten.
To expanding on the shady quartermaster's estranged family.
Quartermaster, why don't you go first?
As well as campers that never got the spotlight in Season 1, and tended to just be punchlines for gags or background extras for our main characters' escapades. It's not a case of, oh, I guess it's this kid's turn to have an episode now, but rather, the show naturally finding ideas from a pool of inspiration. Like, a Space Kid episode exists not because he hasn't had one yet, but due to how much comedy can be found in hoaxing a moon landing on a budget.
You're, breaching the atmosphere!
Oh, and while Season 1 pit Neil against Harrison for a battle of science versus magic, Series 2 carries that spirit on by creating a story that forces magician Harrison against the D&D obsessed Neris, thus inspiring an engaging conflict between two kinds of pretend magic. These campus hobbies have so many similarities, yet the episode still finds tension out of their pairing by exploring the differences between tabletop magic and theatrical magic.
Ugh, your destiny is performing magic tricks in the streets of Las Vegas, Harrison. I'm clearly the one destined to fight off the dark forces.
You'd expect a common ground to be found, or immediate friendship, but Camp Camp takes us by surprise by turning them into rivals.
Gosh, you suck.
I do not suck!
In a daring move, a couple episodes actually take Max and Co out of the picture, or only let them have a brief cameo, all while relying on other characters to hold an entire story, And amazingly, it pays off. The Flower Scouts episode not only gives us an eye into another camp's daily life, but it also provides a chance for us to meet their leader, who perfectly sums up why the Flower Scouts act the way that they do.
Now you girls are gonna sell skinny minties, lemon lilies, and coconut cream candy tufts until every last loser in Sleepy Peak has diabetes.
They really are products of the shallow and awful adult in charge of looking after them. Hence why we shouldn't be surprised that they end up becoming feared drug lords in this episode.
Or would you like to buy some cookies?
We will buy all of them, right? See.
Plus, we even have a flashback episode that details David's childhood at Camp Campbell, a prequel story that sheds so much more light on David's character, while also exposing how Mr. Campbell is very much just a millionaire who LARPs as a celebrity outdoorsman, with his very own child camper showing way more survival knack than him. But even worse, we learn that this crook has always been willing to murder his own campers too, a revelation that certainly adds weight to any threats made by Mr. Campbell in the present timeline.
This is all your fault, Davy!
My favourite thing about this episode though, is that it's called Jasper Dies at the End, and so we spend the whole time wondering how Jasper is going to meet his maker, only for his on-screen death to never actually happen. Then it soon clicks. Jasper might not die physically in this episode's ending, but he does die a little inside.
Dang, this camp kinda sucks.
Which is darkly funny, while leaving the audience to keep guessing about Jasper's origins.
I'm cursed to be confined to this island for the rest of time. Well, that is, until my physical body can find peace in the living realm anyway.
The highlight of this season is something that's felt totally worth waiting for. Parents' Day. You see, because our campers were dropped off by bus, their families have remained off screen. Now, after getting to know every kid, we finally have a chance to meet the adults that raised them, and dang is it great. Every parent is either an opportunity to inspire comedy gold, or engaging insight into the households that shape these characters we've come to love.
Mom, violence is not the answer. You're going to get yourself caught in an endless loop of poor decisions that will lead to your elongated incarceration.
Some parents' personalities totally explain a child's upbringing, while others are typical embarrassing mums and dads. Oh, and it's just as compelling to watch these parents interact with each other, because it excitingly mixes up what's meant to be a rigid camping tradition.
Oh, Carl. You never told me you were so good with your hands.
There's so much more to this finale than just meeting wacky parents though. There's plenty of tension and drama here as well. More so than usual for a typical Camp episode. You see, this whole finale is spiced up thanks to one camper's parents being FBI agents, who happen to be investigating Mr. Campbell. So the eccentric camp leader isn't just trying to keep his customers happy, he's also under extreme pressure to convince the actual government that this camp is legit too. There really is nothing ordinary or plain about this Parents' Day, because it's ultimately a huge test for the camp, and failure will affect the show's dynamic.
Which is why I need you to make sure every single snot-nosed kid out there shows off whatever it is their parents signed them up for.
At the same time though, we're left to wonder about Max's parents for the whole episode. Are they as bad as Max says? Do they even exist? Will they actually turn up?
I have half a mind to tell your parents about this when they get here.
How are you not getting this? My parents don't care about shit like this.
What's unexpected though, is that there's no goofy punchline or big reveal for Max's parents. The sad truth is that they really did abandon him. After watching this cheeky kid cause trouble all summer, our hearts actually break for what's essentially a poor child of neglect. Although, that's not to say that the show ends with a soul-crushing conclusion for the sake of being mean-spirited. Camp may be an edgy show, but David always brings that wholesomeness to counter all the negativity, and it's this sincerity that adds so much heart to Season 2's ending.
David?
Mm-hmm.
That never happened.
If I'm frank, I only have one little gripe of this season, a small criticism that's not even the end of the world. I think that Season 2 goes a bit too hard on the gross-out comedy. Some fans will be fine with this abundance of icky and yucky gags, but personally, back-to-back episodes about elderly incest, sick children, and a new grimy camper did make for a somewhat nauseous second season for me.
I found some used Barbie dolls.
Used?
You're gonna want to trust me on this one.
This is still a terrific second chapter for Camp, another batch of absurdist cartoon episodes that remain true to what the first season established, while also being 100% eager to experiment and expand. Feel free to watch my other Patron requested reviews. I've been Jamboree. Cheerio folks.